All right, so happy birthday, Eduardo. It's cool. All right. So your quiz is gonna be in Alex. Okay, and I'm gonna open. This is your quiz, but you're gonna do this later. And you can also practice if you want to. So I'll open some questions. Okay, if you're doing the practice, if you click this, then it's gonna show you the explanation for that question. So our question for number one is using the graph of the parabola to fill in the table. So the table is here on the right side, and this parabola. So this parabola, when it opens upward, the two arms, if you put arrows in there, it's going to be pointing upward. And if you put the two arrows on the second one, this parabola is going to be opening downward. Okay. And then the axis of symmetry is the line that crosses the vertex. So it's always the first number of your vertex. Okay. So this particular question, this parabola is opening downward because the arrows are opening up. And then the axis of symmetry is the line that divides the parabola into two mirror image. So if you put this line on the vertex, a vertical line, this line is going to pass through the x-axis. And that point in the x-axis, which is 4, would be your axis of symmetry. So x is equal to 4. That's for letter B. For letter C, since the parabola opens upward, the vertex is at the lowest point. So this is your vertex, and it's at 4, -1. And then letter D, the parabola intersects the x-axis at 2, 0. This is 2, 0, and 6, 0. So the x-intercepts are 2, 6. So when you answer here in Alex, it doesn't, you don't have to write the zeros for the x and y, for the y-intercept. You're just going to write the two x's, 2 and 6. Okay. You can separate it with a comma. And if we have x-intercept, we're also going to have y-intercept. And this is where the parabola crosses your y-axis. Since it crosses here at 0, 3, then you're going to remove the 0 and just type in 3 for your y-intercept. Okay. All right. So for some extra points, who would answer number 2? Is this parabola upward or downward?
Downward.
Downward. Yes, this is opening downward. And who was that? Who
Oh, that
answered?
was
Jesus, I think it was.
Okay. So Jesus.
my bad.
Okay, so let's go back. This is, yes, this is downward. And what is the vertex? Anyone? Here's the vertex. What point is that? You can also type on the board, on the chat. extra points, what is the vertex? Okay, because this parabola is pointing downward, there's gonna be the vertex on top. And what point is that? If we start from the origin, you go to the right 2. So positive 2, comma, then you go up 4. So it should be 2, comma, 4. Oops. Okay. All right, so the vertex is at 2, 4. What is the axis of symmetry? X is equal to what? Where is the axis of symmetry? If we create a line, and so let's see. So no one's answering it? That should be 2. Pick the first number on the vertex, and that's your
What
axis
was
of
the question?
what is the axis of symmetry? So that was the question. Okay, next. What are the intercepts? Where does this graph crosses the x-axis?
I don't know. I think I need more practice on that, to be honest.
Say it again.
Miguel said he thinks he just needs some more practice on that one, on those questions, to be honest, he said.
Okay. So
What? It didn't even show me anyone was waiting in the lobby.
yeah, there shouldn't be anyone waiting in the lobby because I removed it.
Oh, do we have to reset them all later because all those emails from admin talking about put a lobby for every single class?
Oh, okay.
Hopefully she's in.
That's if someone comes in, but in my experience, it's like no one comes in here from other classes.
I just wouldn't be surprised if admin reached out to us and asked. They said they're going through a list and they're going to be contacting all of us, supposedly.
Okay. All right. So x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis.
Good afternoon.
What are those? You can type or you can answer by unmuting. All right, so looking at this graph crosses at -2, 0. So you're just gonna put -2. And then it also crosses on 6. So 6, 0 or just 6. Okay, so you separated them with a comma. All right, the y-intercept. It's an intersection along the y-axis. So you look at the y-axis and see where it crosses. So anyone knows where this graph crosses the y-axis? Or extra points.
I got a question. How do you find the axis of symmetry?
The axis of symmetry is when you create a line along the vertex. And then that line is going to cross the 2 of the x-axis.
Oh.
So that's why it's x equals 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so same with the x-intercept, intersection along the x-axis. So this graph is crossing at -2, 0, so you have a -2. And it's also crossing on the 6, so it's 6. So what is the y-intercept? Okay, the y-intercept should be at 3. All right, so 2 questions about this in you're also gonna be given a graph and you're gonna write the equation in the equation bar. There's 3 questions regarding that. So whenever you're gonna graph, you're gonna use Desmos. And the vertex form, the equation here at Desmos is y equals ax minus h squared plus k. And we know that h and k is always the vertex. So knowing that h and k are the vertex, I could put the vertex for the question is -5, -5. Okay, I'm just gonna put -5, -5. Okay, that's the vertex. And it's over here. Okay, so this parabola, this -5 and -5 is your h and the k. So I'm just gonna put this -5 outside -5 because that's where the k is, outside the parentheses. And inside the parentheses, I'm gonna put the x, and then this one should be squared. All right, now if I look at the parabola, right now it's at 5, -5. But this one is -5, -5. That's why we need to put another negative, because this equation here already has a subtraction. So we always have to change the sign of the first number inside the parentheses. So negative times negative would be a positive. And that's how our parabola looks now. Okay, the vertex is correct, but it doesn't, it's still facing upward. We need this to face downward. So we just put a negative outside and it's gonna face downward. Okay, now this parabola is crossing at -7, 13. So I can type that point, -7, -13, and then check to see if it's okay. So right now when I check it, this -7, -13 is not passing through this. So I'm gonna have to look at the slope, or how this graph is. So just looking at the point, instead of going to the side 1 and 1 to the bottom, it's not going to that, it's going, the corner is here on the -13. So it's actually a 2 on the negative. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be 4, 6. All right, so if I put a 2 All right, so the reason why I put a 2, because if I don't put any number here, this vertex from to the side, 1 to the side, 1 up or 1 down, that's gonna be the pattern. But this one does not cross on the 1 down. So it crosses more here in the corners. So instead of going 1 to the side, it went 1, 2 downwards. So 1 to the side and 2 downwards. So I'm gonna put a 2 there. And it crosses this -7 and -13. Okay. Now, once I know that this equation is correct, I'm just gonna have to copy this negative decimals. And this is the square. Okay, and then I could check. All right, so question here. All right, so if there's no question, we're gonna go to, you can take that quiz after 30 minutes before this class. And 2.5, that would be 12. $155. So $155. All right, so we go to our lesson. This is going to be where your homework is. OneNote 921 problems DEF, and I'm going to show you problems A to C. All right. So you're going to use your notebook, and I'm also going to use my iPad. All right, the first thing is we're given vertex form, and our goal is to be able to write this vertex form into standard form. Okay, we're also going to graph it so that it could further review your graphing, which you could benefit in the quiz later. So if we go back to 917, when we started graphing quadratic function, we have 3 forms. And last week we did the vertex form, and we get the vertex from the HK. Okay, now we're moving on to standard form, and standard form is the first one. The only difference here between these two is the vertex form has a parenthesis and a square, and then the standard form doesn't have any parentheses. So to be able to convert this vertex form to standard form, we're just gonna have to square the one where it says x minus h, square that by multiplying using the box method. And then if there's an a, distribute that. And then the constants would be paired with the k. And we would be able to go to standard form. Okay, that's in the essence. We're just going to have to square this and we'll get the standard form. All right, so this is our vertex form, and to repeat, we have the A outside, or we start with H and the K, and H is inside the parentheses, and this is always a minus, and outside of the parentheses you have a square, and then you have an A. Okay, so first thing first, we get the H inside the parentheses. It should always be a minus 6. Okay, so because I have to put a negative because the equation always calls for a negative, then I need the second sign that would make this a positive, so I don't change the equation while I'm trying to get the vertex. So a negative multiplied by another negative is gonna give me a positive 6. So now my H is negative 6. Okay, and then for the K, I just grab the negative 9, and that would be your K. All right, so our vertex is at negative 6, comma negative 9. All right, always remember, if this is positive 6, your vertex would be a negative 6. Okay, so we're gonna graph that first. When we graph, we always start from the origin. And since this is negative, we're gonna move to the left. So from the middle, we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we move negative 6. And then we have to move 9 downwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here is your negative 9. And this is gonna be your vertex. It's a negative 6, negative 9. Okay, and then we get our A. Our A is 1, so the movement is going to be 1, 3, 5. This is always going to be 1, 3, 5. All right, so from the vertex, we move one side and one up. So from the middle, we move 1 to the side and 1 up. Another 1 to the side and 3 up. So 1, 2, 3. 1 to the side and 5 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we have more space, we can continue 1 to the side. After 5 would be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And since this is our this is going to be our axis of symmetry. And then we just have the same points on the other side of the symmetry. So you can also use or draw on your notebook. Okay, negative 6, negative 9 would be somewhere here and there. And then move 1 up, 1 to the side. 1 up, 3 to the side. 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, okay. 1 to the side, 1, 2, 3. 1 to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, so use your draw pencil, and then you don't have to connect the dots. I'll try my best to connect this. Okay, so that's how you're gonna graph, and then on to our real lesson, which is to convert vertex form to standard form. So to convert it, all I need to do is to get rid of the parentheses. So start by writing down the equation without the y. So x plus 6 squared minus 9. Okay, so first write the equation. And then next, using PEMDAS, we are going to look at our parentheses. Inside the parentheses, there's x and 6, so we're not going to do anything there. Then we move up. Exponent. There is an exponent. So we're going to do this first using the box method. X plus 6 is squared is multiplying x plus 6 to itself. Okay, so x plus 6 times x plus 6. That's what you're going here to do here. So our x plus 6, x plus 6. We are multiplying, so both of these are outside. They are factors. And then we multiply. X times x is x squared. Okay, 6 times x is 6x. Same way, 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times 6 is 36. Okay. So once we have this, we can already write it down, and then we can combine these x's. So our answer, when we square x plus 6 is x squared. 6 plus 6 is 12x plus 36. That's our answer to this. And then we have a minus 9 here. Okay, so at this point, we don't have any parentheses, so we're good, but we need to simplify this too. 36 take away 9 is positive 28. And then we copy the 12x on the left side, and then the x squared. Okay, so this should be your standard form. Okay, then we try to type the equation, see if it's going to end up with the same as our graph here. So y is equal to x squared plus 12x plus 28. All right. So I have this graph here. Okay, 27. This should be 27. So earlier I said 28. 36 minus 9 is 27. So this should be 27. Okay, and going back to here, now we have the same graph that we have in here. It crosses on the -3 for the x-intercept as well as -9. So this is our correct graph. Another thing, this 27 here is gonna be our y-intercept. So every time you have a standard form, the constant would always be where it's gonna cross the y-axis. So this 27 is at 0, 27 y-intercept. All right, so that's our first example for converting vertex form into standard form. And the only thing that we need to do is to multiply the part of the equation that has a square. Once we have the product of that, then we remove the parentheses and then we add whatever is left of the equation. And since we're left with -9, we just combine it with a 36 because both of them have are constants. So it ended up with a 27. And when we graph it, we ended up with the same graph that we have here. Okay, we always check with decimals. We can actually even graph this vertex form +6 square -9. And we should end up with the same graph. Okay, so converting it is real easy. And if you are following in your notebook, you can already glue everything in your notebook for the first number. All right, okay, next. -x plus 3 squared minus 3. All right, so we're gonna start with the vertex. We're given vertex form, therefore, we're gonna start by getting the vertex. The vertex should always be a minus. So I need another negative so that this becomes a +3. Okay, so our first h would be a -3, and then the k would be -3. Okay, so our vertex is -3, -3. Okay, so now it's going to the graph, -3, -3. From the middle, you go to the left 3, and then you go another 3 to down, and you'll have the -3, -3. Okay, so next we're gonna look at our A, and A is a negative. And no number, that means it's -1. Okay, so our movement is always 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 5. Since we have a -1, then we're going to multiply everything by a negative. So negative, negative, negative. So our movement would be down 1, down 3, and down 5. So 1 to the side, down 1. 1 to the side, 3 down. 1 to the side, 5 down. Okay, so from the vertex, 1 to the side, 1 down. 1 to the side, 3 down. 1 to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere here. And, okay. Do the same on the other side of the axis of symmetry. And that's how you're going to be graphing. Okay, so we have a graph, then we're going to convert this vertex form. So it's a negative x plus 3 squared minus 3. So PEMDAS, use the exponent first. I cannot distribute the exponent because that's the wrong way. Instead, I have to multiply x plus 3, x plus 3, using the box method. Okay, so x times x is x squared, 3 times x is 3x, 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, then I just need to combine these two. These are same signs add. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, and then this is the answer for inside the parentheses. I'm just going to put the negative outside and put the minus 3 on the other side. Okay, next I'm just going to distribute the negative. So all of these positive numbers will become a negative because I'm multiplying with a negative. So the x squared becomes a negative x squared. The plus 6x becomes a minus 6x. And the positive 9 becomes a minus 9. Then I put a 3 minus 3. And then I can already simplify this too. These are same signs add. So 9 plus 3 is 12. The bigger number is negative, so minus 12. And then get the rest of the equation. Okay. All right, so this should be my standard form. Next, I'm just gonna use Desmos. And it's a negative x squared minus 6x minus 12. Okay, and I'm gonna put the vertex form as well. All right, so these are the same graph. Then that means This is correct. Okay. All right, so last. All right, so the last one is 3 parentheses x minus 2 squared minus 4. Okay, who can give me the h here? What would be the h? Okay, anyone? All right, so if you forgot, you can go back to your notebook. What do we do with the h? If it's a plus 3 here, what should be the h? Same as here, plus 6. The h is negative 6. Okay, say plus 3. The h is negative 3. So if we have a negative 2, what would be the h?
Positive 2.
Positive 2. Very good. So that's a positive 2 because a negative plus a positive. Okay. So who gave that answer?
Me, Jesus.
Jesus. Okay. Very good. Okay, so we have positive 2 for the h. What would be the k?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. Very good. So we just pick the second number or the number outside. That's already your. Okay. So was that Jesus again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Miguel also responded in the chat.
All right. Would be. All right. So now that we have a vertex, two comma negative 4, then we're gonna graph it. So from the middle, it goes to the right 2 and 4 down. Okay, that's 2 comma negative 4. All right, so now we need the a. The a is 3. Okay, that means that all our movement is 1, 1, 1, 1 to the side, 3 up, 1 is to 1, 1 is to 3, 1 is to 5. 1, 3, 5. And we always gonna multiply it with A. Since our A is 3, so instead of moving 1 up, we're gonna move 3 up. And then instead of moving 3 up, we're gonna move 9 up. And 3 times 5 is 15 if our graph would allow it. Okay, so our movement is triple. We're jumping thrice. So from here, go to the one side and 3 up. So 1, 2, 3. And then go to the one side and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our next one. And that's our axis of symmetry. And just draw all right, I think that would work. All right, so now we're gonna convert. Okay, to convert, we always get our form that we need to convert from. So 3x minus 2 squared minus 4. All right, so do this first. So x minus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, so what is x times x?
X squared.
X squared. And then what is negative 2 times x?
Negative 2x.
Negative 2x. And then what is negative 2 times x?
Negative 2x.
And then negative 2 times negative 2 would be
4.
4. All right.
All that with Jesus.
Jesus, how many was that?
3, 4.
You got 4. All right. So these answer will be inside the parentheses, x squared. And that would be negative 4x because you're going to add them, same signs add. And then plus 4. Put it inside the parentheses and then put the rest of the equation. We have a 3 outside and we have a minus 4. So now distribute the. So we're going to be multiplying x squared times 3 would be 3x squared. 3 times negative 4 would be 12x. And 3 times 4 would be 12. And then we subtract the minus 4. So what is our final equation?
It would be 3x squared minus 12x plus 8.
Plus 8. Okay. So let's check. So 3x squared minus 12x. plus 8. All right, so 2 minus 4, and then we could put the 3 here. Minus 2. Minus 4. All right, so these two are the same. And then the 8 is where it crosses the y-axis, so y-intercept. Okay, so this one is correct. Your homework would be, and that was this was too. Okay, homework would be DEF. Okay, so we got 3 minutes before the quiz. Oh, yeah. So here's your homework, D, E, F. Remember, there's a 1/2 there. It's gonna be the same thing that you're gonna do with A. You're just gonna multiply with whatever is A. So you're gonna have 0.5 something when you're dealing with this letter E. All right, that goes to your grade book as well as the quiz today. All right, so your quiz is titled Quiz 4, but you can still practice in your own time. If you really have a problem passing this, for example, you took it and then you got a wrong or a very low score, then go to practice for quiz 4. And then when you go to practice, you can always, this is the practice, you can always do this explanation of those questions. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in quadratic function. Just add this thing about parabolas. All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording and then have you start with a quiz already.